child boldly asked for 10,000 rands. And what is thou going to do with this money? But then this child knows how much they're going to spend, where they're going to spend it from. This child can compare and can bargain. But then on a mere Friday, the same child brings to you a failed mathematics mark with a 23%. Now, the question is, where did the numbers go? Was it between the classroom and the home? Intelligence stopped being recognized. But then, I'm going to share a story with you today, and I don't want you to ask a question, where did the learner go wrong? But then, we have an important question that we need to ask, where did learning lose the child? Listen to this story so that we can find a solution and a gap together. There was this young girl who was studying in a private school from primary. She understood that you can't just give her a formula and not explain what she has to do with that formula. She understood the mere fact that you cannot build confidence on top of confusion. When she was given a grade 12 concept, what she would do, she would go back to a grade 10 textbook to find where that concept came from. Her peers also understood the same thing, that parents cannot teach children on top of confusion. Then her mom could not pay for her fees anymore. What happened to her life was she had to go and study in a government public high school. When she got there, a teacher would teach 100 students or 50 students in one classroom. Remember, in a private high school, in a private primary school, she was used of special treatment where they were taught how concepts connected to one another, where the number belonged. If she was shown that when you look at your home, you see geometry on top of that house. But then now, when she went to a public high school, she was taught math in Xhosa, but then her exams were in English. This girl felt like she has lost the world and she did not belong anywhere. She disconnected from learning. She stopped loving math. What do you think happened to this learner? She was still physically there in that classroom. She had a pen on her hand, a book on her desk, but then she was not physically there. Remember, she had to apply for varsity applications, and they require a high level of mathematics. And then, did this mean we were going to lose our future accountant, or are we going to lose our medical doctors and engineers? Something special was happening during break time in this public government high school. Learners would draw chess on their desk. What do we call that? Geometry lines. So where was maths? Maths was already in the classroom. Children lived math, but then when it was time for a teacher to teach, the teacher forgot that the child already knows math. Remember, the students who would even win these games, if you have played the spin or coin game, where you have to guess whether you're going to spin on tail or head, that is called probability. But then when we are taught in class, they tell us about dice. But then I'm just a child from a rural area. I've never seen a dice before. But then I've touched a coin that had money. So why can't a teacher connect with me and help me study through that connection? Then the learners who would pass and win these games were the same learners who failed mathematics. See, these are learners who can solve problems. They are intelligent. But then the girl made it. She was able to escape. And then she went to varsity, Nelson Mandela University, where she did her accounting course. When her lectures were teaching, they would teach her how to depreciate a car. But then when she went out of her classroom, she would see her same lecturers driving that car. Do you see the connection? When they are revaluing the buildings, she was inside a classroom, which was called a building, so she could understand. She went for work, and they were auditing financial statements that belonged to companies. And when she was in town, she could see a company, Days Bazaars. Then she went back home. What's said here is that when she got home, she found those same learners who were good in these games but then could not pass maths. They had quit school and now they are referred to a name that is very painful to even pronounce in our locations today. They are called Amapara. Those children who had potential were the same children right now today that we are scared of because they would just grab your bag and they will steal your phones. What are they doing? They are trying to make a living today. They quit school. So we have lost future engineers, we have lost doctors, we have lost future CAs who could ask for 10,000 from their parents, who could calculate money, but then learning did not accommodate them. Then when you look at them near the shops, at the rural townships, these learners are still playing the same games. We even call it gambling. They would even call you to come and spin coins or spin some tins, and then sometimes you don't even win because you don't know how they get to trick you, and then they take your 100 rands. Those people are smart. But then today, they are the contributing factors to our highest rate when it comes to crime, unemployment. And it's even painful to see a woman who's a mother who has children living in the streets. Those mothers are coming from those children that I'm talking to you about today. Then this girl went back to her varsity, joined an entrepreneurship office, and then she decided to find Nusta. Nusta is a company that has an NPO and a private company. An NPO is dedicated especially to students from under-resourced schools. She creates culture-relevant learning tools for mathematics that embody and see a child, because I believe that if you want to build a child's confidence, you need to think about their cultures. But then it's amazing that AI and innovation today and our artificial intelligence is growing. There are platforms and apps that have taken this into consideration in terms of language. But then, if you don't understand where I'm coming from, the life that I've lived, then still you can't see me. Our simulation games reflect South African world, how children live their lives. We don't use an example, which is a pizza, for a child who comes from a rural area because we understand these children don't know a pizza, but then they know a concept which is called amagwinya, and that is called a fed cook. If I break it into half and I tell a child that, my child, these are fractions, what will happen when a child sees a question paper in their classroom? They are going to remember that I've seen this at home and they feel connected. Because yes, we can use artificial intelligence to create learning solutions that are interactive for everyone. But then, if artificial intelligence forgets who we are, where we come from, then we are not accommodated for. The same girl today who stands in front of you answered a question: where should we begin? Our stepping approach when it comes to mathematics, we always start in step one, but then we need to find our step zero, meaning now you need to find me first before you can give me a question and you're expecting an answer from me. If we can find education and not import mathematical models that we do not understand, but then have a beginning that starts from the streets, from the shops, from those buildings that are at home, the rondavels, which have geometry. Today, I'm fully decorated with, I have my triangles, I have my circles, I just have geometry written over me. Where are those examples coming from? They're coming from my culture as a Xhosa young woman. So today, teachers, learners, researchers, I want you to go back home, look at your child, and tell them that if it doesn't matter if they couldn't qualify in varsity, but then you do understand they are intelligent, but then it's just that they are not yet accommodated for. That is why we are working on these tools. Because I believe when learning is local, it can empower global education while we're using our culture. Thank you.